Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully installed passport package and also I have created one of the controller as a auth controller, right? So now first of all, as I told you friend, here now we have to create our total authentication system. So step by step we'll develop it. First of all, I want to create for the user, and for the user authentication, what exactly we have to do. I have already migrated our database table into the database table. If you go, so here you can see by default one of the table as a user table, right? So into this user table, that is the name, email. So here now we have to actually check it. We have to for credential, we have to check that if that is appropriate, putting that email address or not. This user putting that appropriate password or not, right? So that is the our login credential. So now we have to develop it. So if you want to develop it, right now here we don't need this. So that is our project. So now I want to work in our this API, that means in our route, and that is a API. Okay, so here right now there is just some of the comments. We don't need this. I remove it, and also there is a default one. I minimize it. So now I want to create one of the new one. Okay, here I want to create another new one as a, first of all, that is a logging route. Better I put some of the note for you. That will be as a logging and then route. Okay, logging routes. So for the logging routes, I want to create another route. So that will be on the route, and with the route area, that will be obviously on the post method, because from here I actually pass that our email address and the password, right? So that will be as a post method. So friend, as I told you, step by step everything will be more clear to you. And also here I moved one of the URL. I put that URL as a logging. After that, here all we have to do, I have to also load our this controller. So that is our controller. Now we have to use it. So that is in our namespace in our controllers area, right? So now first of all I want to use it. So that will be as a use, and that is in our app, right? So into the app, and then the backslash, and then the HTTP. That is HTTP and backslash, and then the controllers, right? So that is our folder name. So into the app, HTTP, and the controllers. So that is our namespace as a controllers, right? So that is our controllers, and into the controllers area, I have created one of the controller name as a auth controller. So first of all, here we have to load it if you are using Laravel 8. So first of all, here you have to load it, and now we are able to access our this controller name. I copy it. So now here that will be our controller name and this controller class. So that is a class, and into this class area here we have to declare our method name. Our method name will be as a logging. Okay, so this type of one of the method now I want to create. So simply here I created one of the URL route. So that is our route as the post method. Our URL will be as a logging. And then in our auth controller, into the auth controller area, I want to create one of the method as a logging. So now let's create this method. So with this, we'll actually check our credential, all that user. So I copy it and now go to our authentication controller. So that is our auth controller. Here I want to create this method as a public, and then function, and then our method name. Right, friend? So in fundamental, I have already discussed about little bit things about the Laravel. So I hope you will get this idea. So that will be not hard for you. Okay, so here I've simply created one of the method name. That is our method name as a logging. So here right now I want to work. So here, friend, that is one of the post, right? So that is one of the post route. So here we have to also pass that request. So that is a request, and also here we have to pass that as a $request. Right, so that is a $request. So friend, that is actually by default request. When you install Laravel actually provided this request. So if you want to customize it, you can also customize this request. So better for the registration, I will create another custom request. Then that will be very helpful to you. So right now that is our by default request, and that is our $request. Here I want to load all the things. I want to load our model. So some of the things we have to use as a model, or first of all I want to use that auth will be also needed. So I simply support it and use, and then in our app, so to the app backslash and the models, and then into the models, they have one of the model. If you go, you can see there's models and there is a user model. So now if you also want to use that, you looking into RM, you can use it. If you want to use that query builder, for the query builder, our DB will be also needed, right? So now right now I will use that models, and with the models, our user model. Perfect. So I simply load it, and then I also better support that DB. If you are using that query builder, then that DB will be needed. Also I want to use that hash, that will be also needed, a hash password. That means when you pass that any password, when it will be stored in our database table, or when actually that will be needed for the registration. But I want to support all that file which will be needed. That will be in our Illuminate, into the Illuminate, and then the support. Okay, that the support, and then the facet, and then the hash. So hash actually supported for when you store any password in your database table, that means in our user table, this password field, it should be saved it in here with the hashtag password. Okay, so for the reasons here, I also want to load it. I will load that user auth, and then the user model and the DB. If you want to use that as a lookup URL, then model will be needed. If you want to use that DB, that means the query builder, then DB will be needed. And for the hash password, then the hash will be needed, right? Perfect. So that is our method. Better I want to put some of the note as the AND method. Okay, that is our AND method. So friend, here first of all I want to use as a try catch. If you use that try catch, then if you have any problem in your code, then automatically it will be display this error. Okay, for the reasons better I want to use it. I want to use it in our, or you want to add everything in our try catch area. So that will be as a try. Okay, that is a try, and here after that I want to use that as a catch, try catch, and with the try catch area I want to add that exception. Okay, exception. So that is an exception, and that is by default actually. And if you get any error in particular this try area, automatically it will be get this error. Okay, so that is a catch, exception, and then the dollar exception. So that is our dollar exception. And here it will actually show some of the messages, the return response. Okay, so return response, into the return response area I want to pass it. So I want to pass that message, whatever the message you want to display. Everything will be very clear why I'm actually using it. So right now I simply write down that message, and it will be display this message with this exception. So with this exception it will be display, that means it will get all that message. So the get and the message. Okay friend, so it will be get this message. And also I want to show some of the state code. State code is very important when I run this project, when we will check it with our Postman, because everything we have to check it with this Postman, right? So I have already installed this Postman. So here first of all we will check all that our API, in particular that area. So we actually provided some of the state code. So I want to do for this, I want to show that state code as a 400. Okay, 400. So for this one I want to use that 400. Perfect. Okay, so now I want to work try. So into the try area, first of all I want to put on the if condition. Okay, so into this area I want to put on the if condition, because here we have to check it, whatever the data, that means whatever the email address and the password you actually pass it should be checked in our this database table and this area. That means in our email is appropriate email it or not, and password is appropriate password is or not, right? So here we have to check it. So they have by default one of the function. First of all I want to check it with the auth. So that is the authenticated user, that means which user is logging. So with this auth they have the another method as attempt. Okay, that is the attempt method. So into this attempt method I want to do with this I want to get this our request. So that is our request. So that is a request. Okay, so request, and also they have the another function as only. So with this only I want to check our field. I want to check which field. I want to check both of these fields. For the logging we need that email address and the password. So that is our two of this field. So now I want to check both of these. I want to check that email. Okay, I want to check that email, and also I want to check our another database field name as a password, right? So that is our email and the password. So it should be check it in our this area with this email is appropriate or not, the password is appropriate or not. So if we get this appropriate email address and the password, that means this user is authenticated, right? So here it should be checked with both of this, and when it should be matched, then I want to get that user. So better I take one of the variable as a user. So that will be our authenticated user. That means which user is logging. I want to get that user all the data. For the reasons here, that will be as an authenticated user. Okay, this authenticated user data, I take the things with this variable as a user. And after that, when this user will be logging, I want to create one of the token. Okay, so it should be created one of the token. So when I run it, then everything will be more clear to you. So right now I want to generate another token. So better I take one of the variable as a token. Okay, I take one of the variable, and then with this user, right, with this user which is logging, so into this logging user area, I want to create one of the tokens. So that is another function as a create token, create and then token. Okay, so that is all the default. Actually, there is a create token. I want to create token for this app. So here I use that as an app. Okay, and also I want to access this token. So that will be as a access and then token. Okay, so that will be as a access token. I hope, friend, it's very much clear to you. So now I want to return response all the data. So that will be as a return. Okay, return and then the response. Return response I want to display all that our return response data. So first of all, I want to display the message. Okay, message, that means when this user will be successfully logged in, then that will be display one of the message as a successfully login. Okay, successfully logging. So this type of one of the message it should be displayed. And also I want to display that our token, that means which token I have already created in here. So I take the things with this variable. So I want to do here, here we don't need this. I want to add another our variable as a token. Okay, I take as a token into this token area. I want to pass our this token, so that will be display our this token. And also I want to display that user details, because when this user will be successfully logging, if you want to display this username, user email address in your dashboard area, then that will be actually needed. For the reasons here, I take that as a user. And our user will be what? Our user will be our authenticated user. I have already get all that our user data, take the things with this variable, so that will be our user data, right? I simply added all the things in our response area. And also for this response, before I have actually used that state code as a 400 for when it will be as a success. For the success, I want to use that as a 200. Okay, so that will be as a 200. So that is actually the state code. Better I put on the note for you as a state code. Okay, so that is actually the state code. So now I want to use this state code for the success as a 200, which is totally perfect. So when this user will be successfully logging, so then that will be displayed as a successfully logging. Okay, so here into our if condition, if there have any error, automatically into the catch area in our exception, with this exception it should be displayed this message if there have any error in particular that area. Okay, and else, so here, so if this condition is perfect, then that will be display success logging. Rather than it should be display another one, either then it should be return. Okay, return and then response. Okay, return response will be as invalid email or password. This type of one of the validation message it should be displayed. So I want to display the same with the message. With the message, it should be display this message as a invalid email or password. Okay, so I name it as invalid email or password. Okay, invalid email or password. This type of one of the messages should be displayed, and this message is state code I want to use at a 401. So if you search in Google with this state code, you will get actually a lot of the code. So right now for this, I want to use it as a 200, 400 and the 401. Why I'm actually using it, when I check it with the Postman, then everything will be more clear to you. Okay, so now that is our 401, I want to use it, and then that is our AND method. Perfect. Okay, friends, so that's all we have to do for our logging user. So that is our logging user method. So into this method area, as I told you here, first of all, it will be check it. When it will be get that appropriate email address and the password, it will be display the successful message. If there have any issues, that means if there have any error in our this if condition area, for the reasons here I'm actually using the try or catch, then automatically it will be catch it and it will be display this message. And else it will be display a return response and as a invalid email or password. That means your email or password is not matched, so this credential message it will be display like that. Okay, so that's the invalid email or password. Perfect. So that's all you have to do for the logging. Okay, so right now it's okay, so I click the save all. So in our next video, I want to create another method for the registration. So how can create this registration method in our next video? I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.